Let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed how men and women can behave so differently after intimacy? You might want to cuddle, talk, or just enjoy that closeness, and then you look over at him and suddenly he's gone quiet, or he rolls onto his back, or he even picks up his phone. And in that moment, you're left wondering, wait, what just happened? Did I do something wrong? Is he pulling away? And here's the thing, so many women take that silence or that shift as a sign that he's lost interest, or that maybe he didn't enjoy it as much as you did. But let me tell you a secret that couldn't be further from the truth. What's actually happening is that men experience intimacy in a very different way than women do, and the moments that follow are some of the most vulnerable for him, even if he doesn't show it. Most women think sex is the moment where men feel the most powerful, but for many men, it's actually the moments afterward where they crave something deeper. They may not say it out loud. They may not even know how to put it into words. But what they secretly want after intimacy can completely change the way they see you, the way they bond with you, and ultimately, the way they prioritize you in their life. So today, I want to pull back the curtain on this hidden side of men, because if you understand what a man truly craves after intimacy, you won't just be another woman he shares a bed with. You'll be the woman he feels addicted to on every level. Let's talk about the 5 things men secretly crave after intimacy that most women don't know. Reassurance without words, what's fascinating. For all the stereotypes about men being confident, in control, and sure of themselves in the bedroom, the truth is, after intimacy, a lot of men are carrying a silent question in the back of their minds. And it's not the question you might expect. It's not, how do I look? Or did I last long enough? Sometimes those cross his mind too. The real question he's secretly asking himself is, did she enjoy that? Did I make her feel good? Did I make her feel wanted, special, seen? See, men don't always come out and say this because vulnerability doesn't always come naturally to them. Many guys have been conditioned to believe that their worth in intimacy comes down to whether they performed well. And what's tricky is he's not going to sit up afterward and say, hey, did I do a good job? Because that would feel awkward. It would feel needy. And it would expose that fear of not being enough. So instead, he'll look for your signals. He'll look for the little cues, the energy you give off, the way you treat him in those minutes after intimacy. And this is where most women underestimate their power, because reassurance doesn't always need a speech. You don't have to analyze every detail of the night or make some grand declaration. In fact, it's the subtle things that land the hardest with him. When you roll over, smile softly, and run your fingers across his arm, when you hold his gaze for just a moment longer, when you breathe out that little sigh that says, I'm at peace here. Those things are louder than any words. They're telling him, yes, I enjoyed that. Yes, I feel close to you. Yes, you matter to me. Now, let's be real. This isn't about faking it or overpraising him just to boost his ego. Men can sense when reassurance isn't genuine. What makes it powerful is when it's authentic. If you love something he did, whisper it to him. If you felt good in his arms, let him know without overthinking how it sounds. Those little affirmations. I love the way you held me, or I feel so safe right now, or even a playful, wow, your trouble in the best way, they stick with him. Long after the night is over, he replays those words. He thinks she felt good with me. She values what I give. That becomes addictive. Here's why this matters. Men often carry a lot of unspoken pressure in intimacy. They feel the responsibility to create an experience, to satisfy, to impress. And while women are often judged harshly on appearance, men are silently judging themselves on performance, which means after the act is over, he's left with this moment of vulnerability, almost like a crash after the high. And he craves that gentle reminder that what just happened wasn't just good for him, but good for you too. And when you give him that reassurance without words, you create a loop of confidence and closeness. He doesn't just feel physically connected, he feels emotionally seen. And that's what makes him want to give you more, to try harder next time, to go deeper in every sense of the word. Because now it's not just about release. It's about the bond, the connection, the intimacy that lingers in the air even after the sheets have cooled. So the next time you're with him, remember this, it's not just what you do during intimacy that counts. It's those few moments afterward that write the story in his head. Does he walk away questioning himself, or does he walk away thinking, she feels amazing with me, she chooses me, she wants me? That reassurance is what keeps him coming back, not just for the physical, but for you. Emotional safety, you know what's interesting? After intimacy, a lot of women think men are the ones who instantly disconnect emotionally. Maybe he goes quiet, maybe he shuts his eyes, maybe he doesn't start a deep conversation the way you might want to. And on the surface, it looks like he's retreating, right? It looks like he doesn't want to connect. But here's the truth: most women don't realize that quiet moment for him isn't about pulling away, it's about needing emotional safety. See, intimacy is one of the rare times when a man is completely exposed. Physically, yes, but also emotionally. For a lot of men, the world tells them to always be strong, in control, to never let their guard down. But in those moments after being with you, he's actually at his most vulnerable. He's not thinking about work or success or what everyone else thinks of him. For a short while, he's just him. And that's terrifying and freeing at the same time. What men crave, but rarely ask for, is the safety to just be, to not have to perform, to not have to say the right thing, to not have to entertain or prove or solve anything. When you give him that emotional safety, you become different from almost every other person in his life. Because let's be honest, most men don't get that from their friends. They don't get that at work. They don't even get that from family sometimes. The bedroom becomes the only place where he can actually exhale. And here's the part that so many women misinterpret. If he goes quiet after intimacy, it's not rejection. It's not that he's thinking, I don't like her, or I'm done now. More often than not, it's him finally letting his guard down. It's him feeling safe enough to stop performing. If you pressure him in that moment, what are you thinking? Why aren't you talking? Do you still want me? You risk making him feel judged in the one space where he just wanted to feel free. Instead, lean into that quiet without fear. Rest your head on his chest, let him feel your breath on him. Show him with your body language that he doesn't have to do anything to keep you close. That's emotional safety. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's a light touch. Sometimes it's you giving him the grace to just be still. And here's the magic: when a man feels safe with you after intimacy, something shifts. He starts to trust you with more than just his body. He starts to trust you with his heart. He begins to associate that comfort, that peace with you. That's when a man who thought he wasn't capable of deep emotional connection starts opening up in ways he never imagined. Because you gave him the one thing the world doesn't permission to put the armor down. So if you've ever wondered, why doesn't he open up to me emotionally? Ask yourself, have I made him feel safe enough to? Because the truth is, the more emotional safety he feels in those quiet moments after sex, the more he'll let you into the deeper parts of his world. And that's not just how you keep him close, that's how you become the woman he feels he can't live without. Physical affection beyond sex. A lot of people think that once intimacy is over, men are done. They got what they came for, they roll over, they fall asleep. End of story. That's the stereotype, right? But the reality, if you look a little deeper, is actually the opposite. Men may not say this out loud, but what many of them crave most after sex isn't more sex, it's affection. And not the kind of affection that's driven by lust, but the kind that makes them feel wanted beyond the physical act. Here's why this is so powerful for most men. Sex has been built up in their minds since their teenage years as the ultimate expression of desire. It's what they chase, what they fantasize about, what they've been told makes them a man. But once the act is over, something interesting happens. That rush, that drive, that adrenaline, it fades. And what's left in that quiet moment is a deeper question. Does she want me when it's not about the act? Does she still choose me when there's nothing left to prove? And this is where physical affection comes in. When you run your fingers through his hair, when you kiss his shoulder, when you curl up on his chest or trace little circles on his arm, those small gestures tell him something words never could. They say, I don't just want your body, I want you. Even in stillness, even in silence, I choose closeness with you. Think about how rare that is for a man. Out in the world, he's constantly being measured by what he does, his job, his money, his achievements, even his ability to satisfy in the bedroom. But in that post-intimacy moment, affection tells him he's wanted for who he is, not just for what he can give. That's powerful. That's what bonds him to you in a way that sex alone never could. And I'll tell you this, many men won't admit it, but they crave being touched in those small, almost childlike ways. The way you might playfully tug on his hair, or hold his hand or wrap your leg around him, it disarms him. It takes him out of his head and into his heart. It reassures him that he's not just a performer, he's your person. Now, here's where a lot of women underestimate their impact. They think He doesn't need affection. He's the man. He's the strong one. But let me flip that on its head. It's because he spends his whole life trying to be strong that he craves those moments where he doesn't have to be. Physical affection after sex is like telling him, you're safe here. You're more than enough. You don't have to do anything for me to want to stay close. And that feeling, that's addictive for a man. That's what makes him linger. That's what makes him look at you differently than every other woman. Because for him, sex might be everywhere. But affection is rare. It's the difference between being a partner and being a soulmate. So the next time you're together, don't underestimate the power of those little touches. Don't think of them as extra or optional. For him, they're proof that he's not just desired in the heat of passion, but wanted in the calm after. Proof that you don't just love what he can do for you, you love who he is to you. And that, more than anything else, is what keeps a man coming back, not just for sex, but for connection, for intimacy, for you. Respect for the moment. One of the most underrated things men crave after intimacy is something so simple yet so often overlooked, and that's respect for the moment. Now, let me explain what I mean by that, because it's not about formality, it's not about rules, and it's definitely not about putting pressure on either of you to suddenly have some deep, life-changing conversation. Respect for the moment simply means treating what just happened with value. Think about it, intimacy isn't just two bodies connecting. It's two people choosing to be completely vulnerable, completely exposed both physically and emotionally. Even if a man doesn't say it, what happens in those moments matters deeply to him. But here's where things often go wrong. Sometimes right after sex, a woman might immediately get up, grab her phone, start scrolling, or head to the bathroom without a second thought. And while she might not mean anything by it to him, it can feel like the whole thing was transactional. Like it was just an activity you checked off and now you're moving on. And here's the thing, men notice that. They may not call it out, but they feel it. They feel when the energy shifts from connection to routine, and it can leave him wondering, was it meaningful for her or was it just sex? What he craves, what makes the biggest difference is when you stay present even just for a few minutes. When you take a breath together, when you laugh about something silly that happened, when you let the silence linger without rushing to the next thing. That's when he feels like, she values this. She values me. Now, I'm not saying you have to lie in bed for hours every time. It's not about time. It's about intention. It's about not making him feel like intimacy was disposable. When you treat the moment with respect, it tells him that he's not just another guy, and you're not just going through the motions. It shows him that you see what just happened as something important, something worth pausing for. And let's be real, men don't get this often. Many guys have been with women who rushed, who disconnected the second it was over, who made them feel like it was purely physical. But when he's with a woman who lingers, who smiles, who holds his hand just a little longer, it plants something in his mind. It makes him think, this is different. She's different. And here's the beautiful part. Respecting the moment doesn't always mean being serious. It can be playful too. Maybe you tease him about how he kissed you. Maybe you whisper something cheeky in his ear. Maybe you just laugh together. That's still respect because it shows that you're engaged, that you care, that you're present. The opposite of respect isn't laughter, it's indifference. And that's what men fear the most in those moments, that it didn't matter. So the next time you're with him, ask yourself, am I present right now? Or am I already moving on in my head? Because when you give him that respect, you're not just honoring the act, you're honoring him. And for a man, that's everything. It's what makes him feel proud, seen, and connected. And it's what makes him want to give that moment back to you again and again. At the end of the day, respect for the moment is about presence. It's about slowing down enough to show him you matter. This matters. And I value what we share. And when you do that, you don't just give him sex, you give him significance. And that's what keeps him hooked body and soul. The feeling that he's desired. Here's one of the biggest secrets about men that most women don't realize, even after intimacy. Even after you've already given yourself to him in the most vulnerable way possible, a man still craves one thing above almost everything else, the feeling that he's desired. Not just loved, not just liked, not just accepted, desired. And let's be honest, this one surprises a lot of women. You might think, wait a second. Isn't sex itself the ultimate proof that I desire him? Haven't I already shown him by being here, by being intimate, by saying yes, But here's the truth. Sex is one thing, desire is another. Because a man doesn't just want to know that you agreed to be intimate with him. He wants to know that you wanted to, that you were drawn to him, that you craved him just as much as he craved you. This is why the moments after sex can be so powerful. When you kiss him again, even when you don't have to, when you run your hand over his chest with that playful grin, when you whisper something flirty in his ear, like, "You drive me crazy," or "I can't get enough of you," those little gestures tell him, "I don't just love you, I want you." And that makes all the difference. Because think about it, men live in a world where they constantly have to prove themselves to feel desirable. They're competing at work, they're showing strength, they're trying to impress in every area of life. But after intimacy, when you lean in and show him with your body language and your words that he still turns you on, it reassures him in the deepest way. It says, "You're not just enough, you're the man I want right now." And here's the thing, men may act confident, but deep down, almost every guy has insecurities about whether he's attractive, whether he's truly exciting to his partner, whether he's still got that spark. When you show him he's desired, you silence those doubts. You give him the confidence that no other woman can touch because it's coming from the woman he cares about most. What's fascinating is that desire can be expressed in so many ways, and they don't all have to be overtly sexual. Sometimes it's the way you look at him with that mischievous smile. Sometimes it's the way you squeeze his hand or pull him back for another kiss when he thought the moment was over. Sometimes it's even tasing him playfully, making him laugh, showing him that your energy around him is still charged. All of those things feed his sense of being wanted. And here's the beauty of it. When a man feels desired by you after intimacy, it creates a loop. It makes him desire you even more. It makes him want to give more, try harder, go deeper. Because he's not just chasing sex anymore. He's chasing the feeling of being wanted by you. That's the fuel that keeps passion alive in a relationship. So don't underestimate how powerful this is. After intimacy, don't assume your job is done. Because the truth is, that's the moment when you can really lock him in emotionally. When you give him that smile, that touch, that playful line that says, "You're mine and I can't get enough of you," you become unforgettable. And that's not just sex, that's chemistry, that's connection. That's the thing that makes him think about you long after the night is over. At the end of the day, men don't just want love. They don't just want acceptance. They crave desire. They want to feel that they're the man who excites you, who stirs you, who you can't resist. And when you give him that gift after intimacy, you'll notice something incredible. He won't just see you as the woman he sleeps with. He'll see you as the woman he never wants to stop chasing. So let's bring this all together. We've just gone through 5 things men secretly crave after intimacy that most women don't even think about. Reassurance without words, emotional safety, physical affection that isn't about sex, respect for the moment, and the feeling of being truly desired. And what's fascinating is this: none of these things are about tricks or games or trying to control him. They're about connection. They're about seeing him as more than just the physical act and showing him that who he is after the passion matters just as much as what he does during it. Because here's the truth: anyone can give a man sex, but not every woman can make him feel seen, safe, respected, and desired once it's over. That's what separates the woman he remembers for a night from the woman he never stops thinking about. That's what makes him crave you, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and yes, even obsessively. And I'll tell you this, when a man feels all 5 of these things with you, he doesn't just stay for the chemistry. He stays for the connection. He starts to associate you with something rare: peace, passion, and playfulness all in one place. And that's what makes you unforgettable. So the next time you're together, I want you to remember your power isn't just in how you turn him on. Your real power is in how you make him feel when it's all over. That's where bonds are built. That's where intimacy becomes something he treasures instead of just something he takes. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 do you think men crave the most after intimacy? Was there one that surprised you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I rate every single one. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with a friend who deserves to understand men on a deeper level. Because trust me, when you know what men really crave, you stop chasing and start inspiring men to chase you. Until next time, remember, the real magic isn't just in intimacy itself, it's in the connection you create after it. And that's where you go from being someone he likes to being someone he can't live without.